Hello everyone. Welcome to this session that we have. We have a short session on how exactly to go about the event, and I'm sure all of you would have registered for this event. So we wanted to give you an introduction to first what the event is all about, how exactly are we going to proceed, what will be the various milestones. We are very glad to have Mr. Ajay Lakhotia here, who is the founder of StockGro. So he has agreed to be with us here for the next 1 hour or so, and to just let us know what his entire journey was. And he will be talking about much more than financial markets. So we will be talking about financial markets, obviously, but then again, the entire journey that he has gone through, I think that will be enlightening to all of us, and I'm sure it will inspire a lot of us who are budding entrepreneurs or even budding traders for that matter. So before we start, what I will do is I will just take you through the entire flow as to where we are and what we are going to do over the next couple of weeks or so. And then we will get into the discussion, right? So I'm sure all of you have seen this creative because that is basically what led you here in a way. So we have this national level mock stock trading battle, wherein you will be able to trade with a certain corpus that you will be getting at the beginning of your journey. So a couple of weeks, you will be able to freely trade as you would have in the real stock market, actual stock market, but without the risk of losing all your cash. But then again, we hope that you don't burn your entire cash purely because there are prizes to be won at the end of the entire event, right? So the first bit of the entire journey is learning how exactly to trade and what exactly to do. So today we have this session on all about financial markets, where we will be trying to get a perspective of what financial markets look like, more or less, how to maybe look at it as a long-term prospect, how to handle your personal finances, how exactly to become a trader or an investor in the market. So that is basically what we'll be looking at today. Tomorrow we will have a session which will be based on technical analysis, wherein we will be looking at certain things that you will be able to use if you were to trade in the actual market. So we'll be looking at some concepts like support and resistance, and some technical analysis, basics of technical analysis, purely in terms of, say, how exactly to pick stocks on the basis of certain indicators that you might get, how to use moving averages, and so on. So we'll be having a detailed technical analysis session tomorrow. Now, what needs to be done now that you are here is obviously you will go through these two sessions, try to get as much knowledge as is possible from the experience that the two wonderful speakers would be sharing today and tomorrow. Then what will happen is you will have to download the StockGro app and register yourself. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have already tried registering yourself, and you might not have been able to see the league. So that will be activated starting tomorrow. So you will be able to join the IMS league, which will be shown to you as Wizards of Dalal Street. You have to select the portfolio as alpha. So once you go through that entire app, and once you go through the league, you will be able to make sense of what I'm saying right now. If you have not been able to visualize what we are trying to say here, we also have a document that will be shared in the Telegram group. So I'll talk about the Telegram group in a bit, but there is a detailed document which will show you exactly what the screen will look like when you reach a particular page, right? So that is basically what is going to happen. You have to make sure that you install the StockGro app, register yourself, join the league before the trading window starts on Monday. So make sure that you have done this entire thing by Sunday itself, so that you don't miss out on entering the competition. So once the league starts, you will not be able to join the battle. You will not be able to join the competition. And that's why it's recommended that you finish this off as early as you can, preferably by Sunday evening, right? So once you do that, the trading window will be from 5th June to 16th June. So as all of you might be aware of, the trading window will comprise of trading sessions. So Monday to Friday is when the stock market is open. There are no coming national holidays that are there. So the stock market will be open for 10 trading sessions from the 5th of June to the 16th of June. So Monday to Friday, right? The trading will be for equities, right? So you'll be able to trade in stocks. There is no commodities or derivatives or currencies that are there. You will be able to trade in equities. So those of you who are wondering if they can trade in derivatives, the answer is no for the time being, right? The trading timings are slightly different from what the markets look like. So 9:35 to 3:25 is basically when you will be able to trade. And of course, once the trading window ends, we will be looking at the top 10 winners who are there. There are cash prizes to be won. There are certificates to be won. And of course, you get a lot of bragging rights. And obviously, if you do well, you will be able to foresee yourself becoming a good trader in the future. Right. So this is basically what it looks like. Now, this entire information is available on the Telegram group. We have already attached a document on the Telegram group. So if you haven't joined the Telegram group, it is recommended that you do so as soon as you can. Right. So it's an information doc that is there. Throughout the trading window, we will try to incorporate some trading strategies. Obviously, we will not be telling you which stocks to pick and what to do. You will obviously be coming up with something on your own, but you can freely share some insights that you might have, something that you feel is going to happen over the next few days. Right now, you have to be cordial, you have to be nice, be respectful on the group. So all those things are assumed that will be there. Right. In terms of troubleshooting, in terms of not being able to access something, or if there is some issue in terms of some technical error that you are facing, obviously we'll be able to resolve that on that group as well. Right. So it's recommended that you join the Telegram group and you make full utilization of whatever resources you are going to get over the next couple of weeks. Right. So I hope all this is clear. And obviously, if you have more doubts, if there is something that you get stuck on, please join the Telegram group. This is the QR code that will lead you to the Telegram group. The link to the Telegram group is also present in the confirmation mail that you would have received today as a part of the Zoom session. So it should not be an issue at all. Right. So without further ado, let's start with the session. So I'll just stop sharing the screen now, and we will jump into the session directly. So yes, so we have Mr. Ajay Lakhotia with us. I'll introduce him a bit, but then again, I'm sure he will have a lot more wonderful stories to tell about himself. So just at a cursory level, if you look at it, he is a venture capitalist. He's the founder of StockGro. He has been a pass out of Indian School of Business, ISB, as you would all be knowing. So he comes from a very good pedigree, and I'm sure he's a stock market enthusiast as well. So going ahead, we will be looking at what exactly is it that motivated him to undertake this journey, and what exactly were the things that he faced, positives, negatives, words of wisdom for all those of you who wish to go ahead. So without further ado, welcome Mr. Ajay Lakhotia to this wonderful discussion that we are going to have. So I've introduced you a bit. Would you like to elaborate on your entire journey from where you started and where you are at this point in time?
Yes, buddy. Thank you so much. And guys, thank you so much for attending this session. I'm glad to see so many numbers out there. Let me start with a very interesting thought. And I was discussing this with some of my colleagues a few minutes back. Whenever you get introduced, or whenever you're talking to someone, right, the first question that you get is, what do you do, right? Aap karte kya ho? And the label that gets attached from there is the work that you're doing. That's how you identify yourself, and that's how people also identify you. You would say, I am studying at IMS, right? I am working at StockGro, I'm the founder. And these are all the labels that you use. But if you go down deeper inside your own thoughts, remove a few layers, you'll perhaps be able to figure out between all the transitions that you do in your life, from your student life to your professional life to everything that you do in your personal life, what is motivating you to do that? And when I go back there, right, when people ask me, what do I do with my life? What do I do? I have a single line answer. I like to experiment with life. I like to build and go through an experience, go through a new journey every few years. And that's how I see all my transitions, both in my personal and professional life. I sometimes feel that it's, and not just me, I think a lot of folks, you would be able to relate, that you're always on a continuous quest to do more, to learn more, to achieve more, to just experience more and more things out there. It's one life that you have got. And for me, for a change, I have come a full circle. I started as an entrepreneur right out of college in the year of 2000. My first two ventures failed miserably. And at that point of time, it was not called a startup. It was called business. It was called dhanda. When they failed, I was facing a difficult problem to go back and start a third business and gain that kind of support from my family, saying, okay, you have lost so much money, and now you are confident that you'll probably be able to set up one more business, which will cost 5 times the money you have already lost. And you'll be able to recoup and generate profit and build a real business out of it. It took me a lot of time and effort. One, it was manufacturing and technology business, not easy to do. No one in my family had done, so no one had understanding of that sector. So it was very new. And interestingly, in the year 2000, 2002, Google did not exist at that point of time. So whenever we were doing industry research, we would go to exhibitions, industry exhibitions, go and see the machineries, meet the people, understand how things work, come back, do our calculations. There were no McKinsey reports available on industry saying up is industry ke andar, this is the P multiple, this is how you enter the business, this is what the revenues would look like. No unit economics, nothing. You have to do everything grounds up. And that's how I started my third venture. It worked out well. It took me almost 8 years to build and grow that business. And in the 8th year, one of our clients, and among the large confectionery company here in India, they acquired us. So I got a good exit and very early exit in life, made decent amount of money. And honestly speaking, I had no idea what to do with it. I was 28. And the first thing that came in my mind was, let's learn how to fly microlight aircrafts. So I moved out of India. I was in Scotland for a short while. And I was actually practicing learning how to fly aircrafts. I did about 40 hours. Aditya, enough money for me to survive for the rest of my life without working. Okay. So, and while I was doing that, I came across the CFO of Capgemini Consulting. He was also vacationing. We had a couple of interactions. I learned what Capgemini does. It was very unique because the industry, the business I came from, had almost nothing to do with consulting, had nothing to do with IT industry. And the whole idea of me getting on in the role of a consultant with Capgemini was very interesting for me. So I started doing some consulting work with them. And that's when I first time realized कि ज्ञान देने के पैसे मिलते हैं. That is, as a consultant, you tell people what to do and they pay you for telling you this. So, and it was also the first time I got exposed to IT industry and I realized how big, how vast it can be. And I was very curious, saying in my next journey, I want to build a business which is all tech, but I had no idea how to do that. I could not go back to college and start doing this. So the only next obvious way for me to take a break from life and understand this whole industry, this whole sector, was to go for my MBA. The options I had was MBA in US, MBA in Europe, or MBA in India. You know, here's a very critical question that most of you would also have to answer in your life journey. Whenever you're looking to do your post-graduation, do your post-graduation in a country where you want to work. Because if you do your post-graduation in US and you come back to India with that degree, half of the companies may not recognize it. If you do that in Europe and you go to US, half of the companies in US will not recognize that degree that you have got in Europe. So it becomes very important that you take your post-graduation degree from a university in a country that works for you. That's where you really want to work. That's the place you have to go to. For me, India was the place to go to. 2009-10, pretty much the whole world was in recession except our country, right? Super resilient economy. And that's where I saw the growth. Think of it like this, right? Most of us, when we have a salary mindset, right, we'll say, we'll go to a place where you can see stable businesses and you don't have to take a risk and you probably will take, say, a fixed salary home. When you have an entrepreneurial mindset, it would just be the other way around, saying where there is adversity, there's opportunity, right? Where there's no road, that's where you can go and build roads. The places where there are no houses, you can go and build houses. Every place where you see gaps out there, right, is something that you can always go and capitalize on. And that's exactly what India was 10 years back, right? The country was growing, but there were so many gaps out here from an infrastructure perspective, from a business perspective, and you had the opportunity to come and build those businesses. That's the reason I chose to come back, did my MBA from ISB, and post ISB, I was almost about to get back into another tech business or join an IT company when Bollywood happened. And it's an interesting incident. Almost all the Bollywood movies had their protagonist as an investment banker. So from a Hrithik Roshan to a Farhan Khan, all the guys I saw were investment bankers in their roles. And it intrigued me, saying, this is something which is really nice and interesting. I should do this. And I changed my mind. I went back, started interviewing for investment banking roles. Interestingly, I got a break with ICICI Bank. This was the largest private, and this is still the largest private bank in India. Right? So their investment banking team was primarily working on mostly fintech or finance businesses across India, where they were either doing a merger or an acquisition, or they were helping fund these businesses. So I spent about a year with ICICI Bank, and that's when I realized that Bollywood got it all wrong. Investment bankers are like not on the top of the food chain. There's someone above investment banker, and that's the venture capitalist. These are the guys who are writing the checks, or these are the guys who are investing in businesses for which investment bankers are pitching to the venture capitalists, and for which the founders are going back to the investors saying, hey, this is my business and I want to raise capital. And I said, Acha, this is perhaps even better. Let me try and do this. So I started interacting with a lot more venture capital and private equity funds. And Temasek, which is the sovereign fund of Singapore government, they wanted to start their venture capital arm in India. Right? So I moved to the other side of the table, went to Singapore, stayed there for about a year, and I was like, yahan se baithe deals nahi hogi. The challenge at that point of time was the VC ecosystem in India was very nascent. 10 years back, we were hardly 15 venture capitalists in India writing checks. And I was traveling every 2 weeks back from Singapore to India to meet the companies, founders, see what they're doing, go to their office. It was getting very cumbersome. So I decided to move back, set up an office in Bangalore. Did that for about 6 years. So Yatra, Make My Trip, First Cry, Express Breed, Delivery, these are all my portfolio companies. While I did this, I became a little overambitious, and I said, oh yeah, I've done this. Maybe I can set up a fund by myself. So moved out and started talking to a lot of large pension funds globally who invest in venture capital funds, and in turn, venture capital funds would invest in the startups and founders here. So I reached out to all of these guys saying, hey, I'm raising capital and I would start investing next year again in all the Indian startups. Came across a very large Chinese conglomerate called Fosun. Fosun at that point of time used to have $85 billion balance sheet. They said, we'll give you all the money that you want to invest, but it has to be a captive fund. Captive fund means you can't take money from any other investor. It would be a single investor with whom you would work. And they would sit on the investment committee. That is, when I'm taking an investment decision, they would be there as a voting and would have a voting right. So when they will vote for a particular investment is only when I can invest in that company. And during my Fosun days, I was primarily focusing on fintech sector. And almost all the VCs, including myself, we were all either investing in payments, Paytm, Razorpays of the world, or we were all investing in digital lending, which was very big at that point of time. But that's when I realized that there's a very large asset-backed market in India, which is our own stock market, eighth largest stock market globally, $3 trillion in market cap, $20 billion of daily delivery trade that happens. When I saw this number, I was shocked. It's like, wow, this is so big. And why is no one doing this? Why is no startup getting into this space? And when I started figuring things out, I realized most of the brokers who have got into this, so from a Zerodha to Upstocks, all that they have disrupted is stock price, trade pricing, right? So they have become discount brokers, expanded the market. But the problem that no one is solving right now is where to invest. The problem that brokers have solved for all the users is how to invest. You click, you log in a few clicks, your transaction is done. When it comes to where to trade and invest, right? I would call my friend and my friend would call his friend, we would go to WhatsApp chat groups, we would look into Telegram, right? People go and talk to each other, take references for making an investment. Right? My dad would call me up saying, Ajay, you should buy ITC. Why, dad? It will become 3x in a year. Why, dad? Because his friend in morning walk told him to do so. And everyone will start buying that stock. If you take a step back, understand the phenomenon of investing, you'll realize it is perhaps the largest social commerce activity. And there's no platform in India which is taking this user journey offline to online. In taking me further, I said, why is no one building a social trading platform? And what are the merits to do this? Understand the macro factors. In India, less than 5% of the population trades and invests as compared to 65% population in US and Europe. Now, if you drill down further and understand why are people not investing, one, fear of losing money. मैंने stock market में पैसे डाले, पैसे खो जाएंगे. Right? Someone in your family would have lost money and it would become like a tradition saying stock market is not for us. Second, they don't understand jargons, right? P/B multiple, EV/EBITDA. If the moment I start throwing jargons at you, you'd be like, we don't understand this, and it frightens people. Question is, do people want to invest? Yes, everyone loves stock market. Everyone has a favorite sector. Everyone has a stock that they track, but you're not investing the money. How do we solve this problem, right? Think of this. The millennials in India today are investing their money in all the depreciating assets that you can find out there. How do we help the next generation learn how to invest? And here's the gap. Our education system, our family does not teach us how to invest money. My parents taught me how to save money, and I'm sure all your parents teach you how to save money. Your school, your college, your parents are not teaching you how to invest money. So the moment you get into your professional life and you start earning, you have no clue how to manage this capital, how to invest this money. And that's where people get stuck. And that's where we said, let's start solving this for them. The easiest way to solve is give everyone an experiential learning platform. That is, when you get onto a simulated platform, you are able to trade, invest just like markets without using your real cash. So that fear of losing money is gone. The second bigger problem is at an age of 23, 24, when you are in your work, I can't throw a 400-page book at you saying, go read this and start learning and then start investing. You'll not do it. You don't have time, you can't do it. But if I put you across a community and the community is both discussing and teaching how to invest, it becomes easy. It's a community-based learning that you get into. He said, let's solve it like this. Let's build an experiential learning platform, which has all the educators, influencers, fund managers sharing their investment strategies, discussing ideas, which makes it easy for people to learn. And over a period of 6 to 9 months, when they graduate, when they understand how to do this, they can start their real investment journey. That's the genesis of StockGro. That's how we started. 2020 is when I conceptualized this. Mid of 2020, we launched it in IIM Bangalore, then IIM Calcutta. Today, we are in more than 750 business schools and colleges across India, where people are learning stock trading through StockGro. There are colleges and schools who have put StockGro as part of their curriculum, right? So that students, when they go through their courses, they're actually able to experience how markets work, not just in theory, but in practical, and use that knowledge. CA Institute has made StockGro as a part of their curriculum to help CA students learn about stock markets. We have grown to more than 30 million plus downloads. We are technically bigger than almost all the brokers in India right now. Right? And our only motive is that we need to help the next generation become investment ready. I think I take it as a personal mission more so because if the next generation doesn't start reinvesting their capital, right, our growth cycle in India will start slowly becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. And this is very important. See, what is changing from a macro factor perspective is the fixed deposit rates have come down and will keep coming down. As the country becomes from a developing to a developed country, the cost of debt has to reduce to enable businesses. So you can't expect your fixed deposit rates to sustain, say, the kind of parity that you are looking for. Real estate investments, the returns have gone down to 2.5%. Right? So think of it like this: you put 1 lakh rupee, you will get 2,500 rupees end of the month, end of the year, which is probably equivalent to your one pizza party with your friends. And that's all that you're going to get. So how will you create wealth out of your savings? And that's the important problem that we are trying to take a stab at, but in a fun way, not making it a very serious conversation, but ensure that people start learning how to manage their finance and understand that there are so many different asset classes, not just stocks, bonds, futures and options, say golds. There's so many new asset classes that you will keep coming across, but you have to learn how to manage it. And even if you don't, you have to create a social circle which knows how to manage it and who can help you manage your finance and investments. That's the motive with which we are building StockGro.
Yeah. It's
I'll open up for questions.
Yes.
Yes.
So we have got a question. So Dheeraj basically asked what I had in mind as well. So what is the difference between trading and investment? So at a broader scale, if you look at it, the COVID, right? The post-COVID era has opened the market for a lot more people
Yes.
than it used to be earlier, right? We have a lot of influencers, as they call themselves, who dish ideas. You will find a lot of Telegram groups and all those things that are there, wherein people will ask people to buy and sell certain even derivatives for the matter. Right? So people are ready to take risks now. So trading is sort of the new in thing. Even in offices, we will see full-time employees sitting and doing trading during office hours. So trading versus investing. So what you mentioned earlier is it's mostly of an investing bit, right? So you said that you were with a VC, and how do we look at the financials of an organization? How do we stay invested in the long run? So that is traditional investing in a way.
Yes.
Whereas this new age trading, wherein people look at all these things and the get rich quickly kind of an aspect that a lot of people have. So what do you think? What should people do?
Guys, here's how you should do it, right? Trading is a little more risky, right? In investment, what you're doing is you're looking at a lot of fundamentals and saying this in say a period of 1 month, 6 months, 1 year should work well, and this is the humble return that I should be able to make on my investment, right? When you are doing trading, the fundamentals go out of window. That is, you're not looking at a business or a stock to give you a return after 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, or a 1 year cycle, because you're not taking a long-term view on that stock. You're taking a short-term view on that stock based on the momentum. And that's what we call trading, because now you're going into technical, saying the technical charts, the market is indicating that if the market is falling, right, the bank should fall, because banks are the largest market caps out there. If banks are falling, right, then which bank is going to fall the fastest? That is, which is the high beta stock out there. if the high beta bank stock is falling, right, what is the resistance and what is the support, right? If it starts falling from a particular number, at which number should it go and stop? Which number will it not cross, right? These are all technical numbers that you would see, and you will take a call saying this makes sense and I'll do trading on this stock. That is day in, day out, wherever I'm able to make money on that particular trade, I'll do that, and not take a long-term view on the business and the stock price of that business.
All right. So we spoke about tech and everything, right? So how do you go about transitioning to tech space? So a lot of people don't really have a tech background. And further to that, there is something that someone asked regarding algorithmic trading as well. So we see all these kind of things wherein people might want to write scripts, automate their trades, look at scalping opportunities. Let's say, for example,
Right.
if someone does not have a tech background, how easy or difficult will it be for that person to actually make money in the stock market?
So guys, I don't come from a tech background, right? And when we started building StockGro, I realized when you're building that business, and especially a tech business, you don't need to know how to code. Tech is simply, and when your team is coding for you, when they're putting the codes together, they are basically taking a logic, right? Which can be like, if this happens, this is what it will do. If this doesn't happen, if, or, and, all of these are the primary logics which are used across all the codes. So as long as you are able to put that logic together, anyone can help you code that logic in a language that either he's proficient with or a language you will understand. Say, for an example, if you go and read Python, Python is almost like the way we would start writing logic on an Excel sheet. So you can use Python language for putting your logic together in a code which will work for you. It's not difficult. Just because you have not come from that background, it doesn't mean that it limits you from getting into a business which is different from your primary education background. If you're a commerce graduate, doesn't mean you can't build a tech business. You can.
So again, not really a barrier. Okay. Do we need to devote a lot of time daily for trading? So if someone wants to become a trader.
One, trading is addictive. So if you get into trading, you will not be able to get your eyes off the screen, right? If you are trying to become a trader, get super disciplined in your personal life, which will start reflecting on your trading habits also. Right? So limit your timing, ensure that you have a stop loss, book profit. All of these things I'm saying because I've seen people getting into trades and getting greedy. You have to get super disciplined that if you are losing money, you exit immediately. If you are making money, you book your profits and get out of that trade.
All right. And further to that, what of things should you consider about a company before investing in it? So you mentioned a few things, obviously, a lot of technical parameters that are there. But if you have a checklist of, let's say, 3 or 4 things that someone should look at, what would they be?
Guys, as a layman, very simple ground rules, right? Go top down. So say, for an example, India is doing well, and we know that it's a growth economy right now. So if it's a growth economy, what are the primary sectors that will keep growing? Right? Consumption. You will not stop having tea, coffee, or say alcohol. So if you understand that a country is growing, then these are the few sectors which have to grow simultaneously. Right? If consumption is growing in the country, you will probably not stop eating, you will eat more, you will drink more. Now let's go back to saying alcohol consumption will keep increasing in the country. If that happens, right, what are the top 5 listed companies in this sector? So you go through the top 5 companies. You don't have to go in depth into their balance sheet and P&L. Right? Look at the industry trading multiples. That is, at what trading multiple, average trading multiple is the industry trading right now. Let's say the industry is trading at 5 times revenue. Okay. And then you go back to the companies and see who's trading at a higher or a lower multiple than the industry average. Now you look at the performance of each business, saying which is generating lower or higher return as compared to industry average or compared to peers. These are all simple charts that you can get from multiple sources. So you know the country is doing well, you know the sector is doing well, you know the company which is doing better than the others and is at a moderate pricing. That is, the pricing of that stock is still okay. It's not overvalued. You can buy into that stock. And then you can actually go and invest from a, say, short-term horizon of 3 months to a long-term horizon of 1 year. It will give you returns.
Well, yeah. So you also mentioned other instruments, like you briefly mentioned FNOs and other derivatives. Let's say, for example, some people asking what exactly are
Achha.
FNOs. It's a very, I know it's a very broad question to answer, but
so futures and options is basically what we call a derivative, and this is how it works. Say you have a house, and I'll take a completely different example. Can you take a view that your house will give you, say, the value is, say, 10,000 rupees a square feet right now? Will it become 12,000 rupees a square feet in 5 years? Right? Now, if you take a view that, yes, it will become a 12,000 rupees square feet value in, say, 2 years, me as an investor will come to you saying, if it crosses 12,000, I am buying it from you at 12,000 rupees. So I am actually getting into a forward contract with you, right? Saying tomorrow, even if the price goes to 13, 14, 15, 16,000, I have the right to buy your house at 12,000 rupees a square feet. It's an option that I'm taking. And to take that option, I'm paying a lump sum amount right now. I'm paying a token money to you right now. This is exactly how options work, right? I'm taking a view that the stock will move across a specific price, which we call the strike price. If it goes above that, I'll make money. But for me to take that view and take that option, I have to pay a premium value right now. That's exactly how options work. Futures, on the other hand, is something which is relatively simpler. Future simply says, instead of buying something today, if I have to buy this tomorrow, what is the carrying cost? That is, what if I do not buy this product today, but if I'm agreeing to buy this tomorrow, the interest rate between today's price, that is, say, 100 rupees, and if I have to buy it after 6 months, so annual rate of 7% divided by 12 into 6, this is the price that you have to pay me. Futures is as simple as that.
yeah, and of course, as in, it requires a lot more depth in terms of understanding it. And I understand that a lot of information, misinformation is spread throughout, saying that okay, futures and options is a quick way to make money. But then again, you can not.
Quick to lose
Yes.
money.
Yes. So there was a recent report. It said that 90% of the people who trade in FNOs basically lose money, and almost all of them are retail investors. So you have to be very careful when you're doing it. So that is one disclaimer.
Yeah. So
right. Yeah.
Retail investors who are looking into futures and options would lose money because FNO is a short-term trade opportunity. Avid traders who understand technicals would unlikely lose money. People who are here just for an experience or having fun or are training on tips, they will definitely lose money.
Yeah, true. Okay, some people are asking how to learn more about stock market. Any books, courses, or anything that you would recommend?
Guys, yes, you can read a lot of books and courses, but my recommendation would be come to StockGro because the team has actually put a lot of content in bite size. That is, you can go through screen by screen very quickly. You can slide through it. It will help you understand all the fundamental basic concepts, and then you can start practicing it. I'm also putting here a link of 2008 blog where I've explained futures and option strategies. This will help you understand how FNO works.
Someone had asked, how does StockGro get revenue?
StockGro charges subscription fee from users for additional features. That is, If you want access to technical charting, right, you'll pay a subscription fee to get the access. That's how we make
money. Okay, and as an extension, as in, where does StockGro go from here?
Okay. So StockGro will basically become the primary source of reference for all the users, right, in next 2-3 years, whenever they are taking their investment decision. Think of this, all best performing portfolios are going to be on StockGro. The best educators, influencers, fund managers are here. Most of the people who are competing, participating, are building some of the best portfolios out there. So for a user, when he has his next 2 lakh rupees and he says, where do I invest my 2 lakh rupees? His first port of call will become StockGro, where he'll go see who's doing what kind of sectors are trending, what are his friends investing in. He'll take his investment decision from StockGro and then trade.
So yes, advice for all of you, as in you have to go to the platform. Again, I went through the website. It's fairly intuitive, and I'm sure we'll be able to learn a lot by going through the entire thing. So yes, definitely. And I went through it myself, and it definitely makes a lot of sense, right? Okay, people are asking about how many points will Sensex touch by 2030 and all those things, but
what should be our motive for investing, and also who earns more than a trader? Yeah. Okay. I think what you have to do is you have to demarcate your funds, saying if I have $100, I'll keep 30 in deposits, right? So that I can go back to use it if required. I'll put another 30 in, say, my short-term investments or long-term investment horizon of 3 months to 1 year, because these are not the businesses which will be volatile. And then you keep another 30 to 40 for your trading, because that's something that will sharpen your skills, that will help you engage, understand market better, ensure you have your stop loss book profits whenever you're doing your tradings. Who earns more than investor? No one earns more than investor. Everyone who is a millionaire or a billionaire, he doesn't eat the money, he doesn't sleep with that money. He has to invest that money back into the ecosystem, either through the banking channels or through stock market. But these are the only 2 primary channels where you can put in the money. Think of it like this. If you are not taking control of your own money, you actually have to give it to a fund manager who will invest it on your behalf. But the money doesn't sit idle in your bank account. It always gets invested. How much do I earn? I don't earn anything right now. I spend money.
There was one question. So regarding personal finance, let's say, for example, so as you mentioned at the beginning, a lot of people don't really invest anything. They put it in depreciating assets, or they put it in assets like, say, an FD or something, wherein obviously it will not beat inflation. It will also invite some capital gains and all those things. So how do people prioritize their personal finance?
Okay, I think there's a very interesting basic thumb rule, right? Which goes like 1/3 of your money you keep for all your expenses, that is, meet your lifestyle expenses. 1/3 of money is what you put just in savings so that you can go and grab it at the time of need. 1/3 is what you do, what you invest in stock markets. That is, you add a little risk to it, but you ensure that the money that you are investing, after 5 years, the return on your investment should be able to sustain your lifestyle. That is, if my cost of living today, between my rent to my food expense, everything is 1 lakh rupees, after 5 years, my investment should start giving me that return. So it makes my life independent. The horizons can vary for people. The lifestyles can vary for people. right? You can be on a 5-year, 8-year, 10-year horizon, but that should be how you measure your investment. That should be how you decide why do you want to invest and what is the kind of return that you are looking for.
All right, and extending the horizon even further. So you said that when you had your first venture and when it got acquired, at that time you had a huge corpus, right? So there is this thing that a lot of people are keen about nowadays, which is called FIRE, financially independent, retire early. So
Yes.
as you mentioned, the horizon of 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. If someone wants to retire early, what kind of a corpus should that person be looking at, if it's possible indeed?
Guys, I think COVID has taught us a very important lesson, and this is not just applicable to rest of you; it is also applicable to. I realized between me and my wife, with all that we could spend on our living cost, that is on food, our cost did not cross 25-30,000 at max, right? Then you have your rent. You might be paying, say, a 20, 30, 40, 50 rent, right? So say on an average of 50,000 in rent, another 20-25,000 in your food cost, your electricity billing, everything else. You can't cross 70-80,000 in your consumption, right? So
Right.
that's the max number that you would be looking at for having a decent, comfortable life. The number can keep going up. There's no end. But for you to have a decent, comfortable life, 50 to 80,000 rupees that you are making on your return on your investment on a monthly basis, good enough. And not just applicable in India, in a lot of other countries.
Okay. There's a question: what should be that one asset which everyone should own?
Intelligence.
Yeah, agree. And the very first thing that you mentioned earlier, right?
Land and real estate is a illiquid asset, right? If you have put in money and if the markets are not good, you'll not be able to liquidate that asset. And if you go to a bank to take loan against it, they will come back saying, I'll give you the loan, but how will you repay the loan? Do you have that much income? Right? So you have to be very careful with your real estate and land investments.
And intelligence, as you mentioned, the very first bit that you mentioned, as if you should be open to experimentation, you should be open to learning. That is again definitely something that should. Do investment bankers work for more than 100 hours a week? So again, the craze for iBanking is still there.
Yes, they do, right? Both investment bankers and venture capitalists, they work much more than you think they do. It's a high burnout or it's a high burn rate job. You can't sustain it for more than 5 to 8 years.
And in terms of gold, as in why is gold at an all-time high?
Gold is at an all-time high because the currencies are very weak right now. So it's a global phenomenon. Whenever global currencies, including dollars and including our currency INR, whenever it drops, whenever it becomes weak, and people fear that they would be losing value by holding currency right now. And it is less for retail participants like us, but more for institutions. Then the money suddenly flows into gold. That is, gold becomes a place to keep or hold your money in that form, because gold prices are unlikely to fall down, especially in recession. It's just the other way around. When the market, gold is generally inversely proportionate to stock markets. If markets or currencies are falling, right, gold prices would start rising. And when markets and currency prices become stronger, people move out of gold and start investing back in currencies and markets.
All right. And in terms of, let's say, gold, if someone is investing, then what would you recommend? ETFs or SGBs? Or
Yeah, always go with gold bond because it is liquid. Physical gold, it's difficult for you to go to a jeweler shop and go and sell it. Not possible. Don't do that. Go in the gold bees. That's easier. If you are looking for fixed deposits only, go for Government of India bonds or railway bonds. They'll give you much higher return and they are more secure than a bank fixed deposit.
And moving on to another class, what are your views on cryptocurrency?
Crypto is an asset which has no underlying asset. Think of it like this. I decided that just a code will start creating this, or there's a utility token that I've started building. Technically, because they have no underlying asset, the prices are only speculative. That is, when you go to StockGro, you will see when I show you stocks, it has fundamental analysis, technical analysis, because there are ways for me to define what is helping the price move. What is the underlying asset? Is the business doing well or not? For crypto, there's no underlying asset. It is super speculative and it is just demand and supply. So if there are only 100 tokens, and if I start holding it, and if I would have taken 90 out of the market, the supply is only 10 left now. The market price will start going up. And the day I decide to start selling my crypto tokens, the price will suddenly shoot down. Right? Extremely speculative, good to have fun, not the asset you can hold for long term.
All right. Someone asked about how to choose between an ETF and fund management. I'm assuming it's ETF versus mutual funds. So,
see, I think the major issue till now was mutual funds had entry and exit load. That is, whenever you were buying a mutual fund, you were paying for it. Whenever you're exiting, you were paying for it. ETFs did not have this. That's the reason the return on ETF was higher. Still, if you want to have a sector-specific exposure, right, then go for mutual funds, because ETF is just aping the market or aping the index. If you would say metals are going to do better, but you don't have expertise in metal, you have a hunch that metals would do better, then go and buy a mutual fund which is primarily exposed to metal sector. Or if you think BFSI will do well, go and buy a mutual fund which has exposure to BFSI sector.
we'll take a couple of questions and then we'll close this. So, how did you stumble across the idea for your first company right after under?
I come from a business family. On the dining table, people talk business. That's where everyone keeps throwing a new idea and something sticks in your head saying this probably would work. Think of this every time, and even now when you are building a business, it all comes as a gut feel that this would work. And then you go back and reconcile with all the reports, numbers to validate if your idea is okay or not okay. That's how almost all the founders, entrepreneurs have worked. They have a hunch, they have thought that it would work, and then they go back with all the external validations. If it ties back, they would start building that business. If you incur a loss, cope up with the loss. It's an emotionally turbulent thing. So get out of it, come back next day with revived energy. Yes, our market is still in a bull run. Some good ideas for startups. Just one gap. Right? Wherever there's adversity, there's opportunity. So if you see someone else not solving a problem, but you think that can be a scaled up business, that is, you can solve that problem and people are going to pay you for that, do it.
Tips to invest in SIPs, and is investing in an SIP worth it?
Tips to invest in SIP.
Okay, so let's say, for example, we're just talking about SIPs. So one thing is people will go for a mutual fund and they will invest. And in some cases, you might want to pick some large cap stocks and maybe have an SIP in that.
Guys, SIP is, in my mind, for people who are either very busy or who are very boring. That is, if SIP is simply averaging out, saying I can't figure things out, but every month I'll put 100 rupee. One month it will become 90, 1 month it will become 50, 1 month become it will 10, but the other 3 months it will become 50, 90, 200, and I'll average it out. It's good for old people. I don't think the SIP is for
All right. Okay. Is
no,
options trading available on stock?
we are launching it in another month or two. It will be available very soon. And in a way that you can learn from it much more easily than what you see on a broker website.
Yeah, so a lot of people ask that as well. So how is it different, be it in terms of advice or be it in terms of interface and everything?
Be it in terms of advice, I just don't know how to answer that question. Interface, yes, it's gonna look and feel very different. See, options are relatively complex instruments to work with. And when I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking from a very layman perspective, saying what does he want to see and what does he doesn't understand. So what he doesn't understand, I'm removing it from the interface. What the user wants to see is what we are keeping it. What we are doing differently from a broker is broker would want to give you as much information as possible. I want to remove that clutter and give you only the information which is useful for you to trade.
All right. One last question we'll take. So very interesting question. Can anyone become Warren Buffett? If yes, then how? If no, then why?
Guys, I think a lot of you can become Warren Buffett. How is you have to do a lot of, so he's one guy who does a lot of fundamental research. He understands, think of businesses, right? On both sides of the equation in a business, there's a human being, which we generally tend to miss when we are understanding business, right? If you take the human being out of the whole supply chain on either of the side, the business will stop existing. So when you're evaluating a business, also try and understand human behavior. Classic example, right? Irrespective of whatever is going to happen, can you stop drinking colas in the country? Very unlikely, right? Is recession going to hit the cola consumption? Very unlikely. So that's a business which will keep growing. Can you go and invest in it? Yes. Then go back to the fundamental saying, is the pricing okay? How are the peers doing? Are they able to generate dividend? All of this. But then it's a good business to go and invest in. What Mr. Buffet has done very well is he understands business fundamentals and human emotions well. If you are able to do this, and he did not do it on day zero, it took him 20 years of making multiple investments, losses to understand this, and then he started doing it right. Can you do it? Yes, definitely you can.
All right. So on that note, I think we can wrap up. Yes. Ajay, if you want to add something that we have missed, maybe.
Hey, guys, I would sincerely request all of you to try and find out what really excites you in your life, and please pursue that. Understand this. If you are an engineer and if you are doing it extremely well, even if it is writing simple codes, right, you will make money out of it. Stop chasing money. Please start pursuing your dream. That is more important. Things that you like doing, things that will keep you excited.
That note, I think we'll close the session. Yes. So I'll just go through the entire bit again that I had mentioned at the beginning. So I'll just quickly tell you what exactly is going to happen. So this was the first session that we had, wherein we, of course, Ajay's journey in terms of how exactly did he land up here, and what all can you learn from that, right? So tomorrow we'll be having another session where we'll be talking about the power of technical analysis. So a lot of things got mentioned in today's discussion, like support, resistance, and all those things. So we'll be discussing those things tomorrow. how to figure out the industries that are the best performing, the stocks or the companies that are the market leaders in that particular industry, and how exactly to go about picking stocks. So those bits we'll be covering tomorrow in the technical analysis session. The trading window open from the 5th of June to the 16th of June. So 2 weeks, 10 trading sessions is what we are going to have. Before this event starts, before Monday, so preferably by Sunday evening, make sure that you have downloaded the StockGro app, registered yourself. You will have to join the IMS League, which is called Wizards of Dalal Street. You'll be able to see it, and you will have to select Portfolio Alpha. So that is basically what it looks like. Do join the Telegram group, the link to which has already been shared in the chat. So that group is basically where you will be able to interact with fellow traders, fellow participants. You will be able to get some info in case there is some troubleshooting needed and all those things. And after the window is done, obviously, you will be eligible for prizes, right? So do join us on the Telegram group. I am sure you will be able to get a lot of info from there. All right. So on that note, we'll close the session. Thank you, Ajay, for the insightful discussion. It was wonderful having you here, and of course, your journey is very inspiring. And I'm sure a lot of people uh, will want to get into trading and will obviously keep a lot of things in mind, right? So we spoke about concepts like booking profits, stop losses, and all those things. So make sure that you are trading safe. There is a lot of content that is available on StockGro, and obviously before you get into the actual market and start risking actual money, it will be a good idea for you to indulge yourself in some mock trading, paper trading as we call it. So I think that that will give you a good platform from where you can sort of start your trading journey. All right. So thank you, Ajay, for being with us. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Wish you all the very best. Thank you.
All right. All the best, everyone. Yes, take care.